All right, everybody, welcome back to coverage here of the Magic Online Champion Showcase. Corey Ballmeister, Arya Karamchandani, and Arya, we got our finals here of the Vintage Cube. Are you stoked?
I mean, as stoked as I ever am for Magic. This is Vintage Cube, favorite sort of Magic in the world. And I mean, these decks, this tournament is just extremely powerful decks across the table and some real bangers in the finals. I'm excited to watch the match.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's dive right in. We're going to just be showing you the one match here that really has all the weight on it here between our two players. So we have Lauri on the left, Ryan on the right. And these players are going to be playing for a seat at the World Championship already. You know, that's the thing I love about this tournament. Not only is it great to qualify for such a prestigious event, Magic Online's premier event, you know, thanks to Daybreak and Magic Online, but the fact that midway through the tournament, we have this match that really matters. You know, usually, and not usually, always, you have to wait till the end of the tournament to give that, you know, that carrot on the string, if you will, that kind of end prize. We get to give it away here at the Magic Online Champion Showcase right away. So, 9.5 years and 8.5 years played between these two players. Played a lot of Magic, qualified via the leaderboard from Lauri, and the Vintage Showcase here from Ryan. So let's take a look at the list here, give everyone a bit of a refresher. And this is what we got from Lauri Törnström, and this is our go-to combo deck. Arya, walk everyone through this if they are just tuning in now.
Yeah, so this is kind of a grab bag combo deck with like a bunch of really powerful rate cards as combo pieces, so you don't even have to run that many dead cards. The main combos in this deck are Narset, Orcish Bowmasters, or Shieldred with Wheel of Fortune, Time Spiral, or Echo of Aeons that lets you draw 7 cards and either kills your opponent or deals them 7 damage or lets them only draw 1 card. One of those, you know, it doesn't really matter which because
they're all busted, yeah.
They're all mostly winning the game, yeah. And then there's also the Underworld Breach, Lionside Diamond, Drain Freeze combo, which like is not really something the deck is keying into as a whole. Like the rest of the deck isn't really, but it's not like this is a Storm deck with a bunch of rituals. It's just these are all independently really powerful cards. Work pretty well with the well, some of these are independently really powerful cards. They work really well with the Wheel of Fortune, and there's enough card selection that you can just set up this combo finish to eventually win the game if your other combos don't work out. So just kind of a grab bag combo deck, and then cards like Shieldred, Jace, Narset, Bowmasters are all just independently powerful cards on top of that, and Balance, Fractured Identity, just some more haymakers to deal with your more creature-heavy starts from your opponent.
Yeah, absolutely love the look of this deck. So let's take a look at Lauri's opponent. And this is Ryan Waligora's list. And as we've been saying the entire time, Arya, this is, of course, the best deck at the table. We've said it from the very beginning.
Well, I don't know that it goes so far as best deck at the table. I won't retcon what I said that much, but like we said from the beginning, this is a low floor, high ceiling deck. Tough mana base, you gotta make it through those early turns, make sure you can make your plays, but some really powerful haymakers and a really powerful top end. So if the mana works out, this deck is up there with the best of them. Yeah, like really powerful top end with things like Ajani, Minsk and Boo, Time Walk, all just like cards that very frequently win the game when you cast them, as well as notably here a couple of pieces of hand attack, which I think are going to be really important against the combo deck. But yeah, a little awkward that beyond that there's not that much interaction for artifacts and enchantments, not that much by way of counter magic, really not that much by way of spells that deal with the stuff that is coming out of Lauri's deck.
Yeah, and don't worry about it, Arya. You know, if Ryan ends up taking this down, we can just edit out this and the fact that, you know, we gave this deck the lowest grade at the table. Oh, wait, I'm getting word from our producers. No, we can't do that. Okay, never mind. It sounds like we're just going to jump into the finals here of our Vintage Cube draft and see who is going to take this down and be our first player into the World Championship. So, I mean, my eye immediately goes to a Time Walk. So we see that from Ryan's side on the bottom. It looks like Ryan is going to be on the play. You got to feel pretty good with that. And then up top, we have Lauri with a reasonable hand, but nothing crazy.
Yeah, I mean, the Orcish Bowmasters plus wheel effect is definitely pretty good.
Yeah.
Bowmaster's actually just really, really good here into this Hex Drinker.
Oh my God. Like, no, not like this. Do not Bowmaster that Hex Drinker. That feels like the worst exchange possible. I mean, hitting a, Bowmaster and hitting like an Oscillate Pride or something, we see that in Modern. That stuff's already pretty broken, but Hex Drinker, where you're already committing some extra mana, not fair.
Yeah, you're committing extra mana, and on top of that, like, Bowmaster's just incredibly powerful in Lauri's deck. It's not just the ETB ability by any stretch of the imagination. It's like a potent threat because it threatens the kind of time twister combo at any point.
Oh, yeah, that was just a devastating exchange there from Ryan. Ryan does have the ability to, well, play a land, do something, but man, just think if Ryan, yeah, it looks like we're just cycling. This is basically an explorer, which, sure, the deck can do that. Wow, Phantasmal Image was actually a pretty solid draw, though.
Yeah, Image pretty good good against Bowmasters, particularly because Snuff Out cannot remove Bowmasters.
Yeah.
So you really, really need some way to get that off the table.
Yeah, and able to get it off right now. And Ryan was just praying, like, hey, instead of, Bowmaster to kill my creature, could you have played one of those artifacts into the Lauren of the third path? That would have been a lot better there from Ryan, but no such luck. Looks like we do get to play, Talus of Dominance into Pened Prism or Hold Up Reprieve, though. That's pretty solid.
Yeah, holding up Reprieve here, getting to hold up Reprieve early either way, because even if you play the Pentat Prism, you can Reprieve off of the mana off that if you really need to, is pretty nice for Lauri here. And then there's maybe going to be like a Jace with backup at some point in the future. Yeah, this hand lines up pretty well against Ryan's, but there's going to be some of those mana issues we talked about. Slimefoot and Squee not castable here because there's no red mana. And then, yeah, Snuff Out, uniquely bad against Lauri's deck. I don't know if there are any non-black creatures in Lauri's deck. And then Loran, I mean, relevant against the mana rocks, but not actually like generating value here. And that is pretty tough because you really need something to actually win this game.
The one thing I will say is Ryan's Snuff Out's pretty bad against Lauri's deck. Lauri's deck is pretty soft against Bowmaster, but when you have Bowmaster in your deck, you got to think you're pretty safe from that card. But man, Bowmaster really wrecks, well, of course, Lauri's wheels, but Brainstorm from Jace, Reprieve drawing a card, kills the armies. So the Bowmaster on Ryan's side is looking incredible here.
It's a little awkward that the Bowmasters is a Phantasmal Image, so literally anything that targets gets it off the table. But yeah, this combo here with Bowmasters and Concealed Curtains, where you can flip the Concealed Curtains up, take something from your opponent's hand, force them to draw a card, and get a Bowmaster trigger.
Oh my god.
Maybe not something Ryan was planning on, but,
yeah.
Definitely works.
Arya, I don't know if you know this fun fact, but this is, completely true and not made up by me on the spot right now at all. Those two pictures from Lauri and Ryan, that's actually the reaction shots of Ryan copying the Bowmaster and killing Lauri's Bowmaster. Big if true, I know.
Yeah, gosh. The fact that the only answer here is the Jace, which can be taken by the Revealing Eye, yep. I mean, it leaves Ryan in pretty good shape. The eye was a pretty huge draw here, I think. Otherwise, the hand is pretty soft to that Jace killing Bowmasters and then like taking over the game with Preacher and Reprieve.
I mean, that Phantasmal Image completely flipped this game. I mean, it looks so much different. All of Lauri's cards look better with a Bowmaster flipping sides here. And, Ryan's leftover cards, we have the Slimefoot and Squee, which is uncastable, Snuff Out, which is pretty much uncastable, and then the Lauren, which is fine, nothing special at all. But now Lauren with the Bowmasters flipped, not only can it destroy something, but of course it can deal a damage and grow the Orc army, so you could have some kind of scenario where you go, at the end of Lauri's turn, we each draw, deal you a damage, grow the army, untap, attack, activate Lauren, deal a damage, like that. Those kind of things can deal a ton of damage when that thing gets active.
Yeah, that stuff definitely adds up. And I mean, particularly given there's a lot of pressure being applied here by the army by the army plus the eye. Like that's maybe another 6 points of damage. A lot of what Lauri is going to need to do is sort of like generate some sort of card flow, go through his deck. So yeah, I don't love his spot here.
Yeah, definitely not. So here's the Preacher coming down just as a blocker. Once again, this Snuff Out not looking great, but might be a card we see sided out. I would think that seems like a pretty easy one to take out. Ooh, okay. That card can be very, very good. Maybe not amazing this second, but a strong card.
Yeah, Carnage Interpreter is like a pretty high rate card, and I mean, the Snuff Out's a blank piece of cardboard, so you're not really discarding that much yet. But yeah, I'd want to get this Loran down first, maybe.
Yeah.
Hit at some of that mana. That Reprieve in Lauri's hand really awkward here, where you can't really safely cast Reprieve because it lets the Orc army grow to be able to attack into your Preacher by pinging it, and so you're just taking a bunch more damage if you do. And yeah, I think that means that Loran likely to resolve here, or likely to get in a bunch of damage if cast pre-combat.
So should you cast it pre-combat here if you're Ryan? I mean, obviously, perfect information. We know that to be the case, but is there any reason to do it the other way?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's like pretty good reason to do it post combat. Even it's pretty close because this Leyline Binding is a card in Lauri's deck that could be represented. So yeah, I mean we saw Ryan like kind of pause over that, start paying the cost, and then decide against it. I think there's pretty good arguments either way for casting it pre and post combat. I think it's pretty close, but yeah, with the way it works out, this does let Lauri reprieve it when he could not have otherwise, most likely.
Yeah, so it worked out situationally wrong there, but there was reasons on both sides, so you wouldn't consider that a a punt or a misplay in any.
Oh no,
regard.
definitely not a misplay.
So powerful cards off the top there. We got Soul Ring and Leyline Binding, and I feel like we're at the stage of the game here where every single game we've watched from Lauri so far, it's just like, oh, we're at the stage where every single draw step is absurd because, well, Lauri's deck is pretty busted.
Yeah. I mean, it's Soul Ring's like a little Soul Ring Leyline Binding is a little awkward here, where we know there's that Loran in hand. So the Leyline Binding does get to clear the Orcish Bowmasters, which is nice.
Yeah,
It just gets rid of it, and since it's a phantasmal image, Loran is not going to be able to bring it back. I think at this point, what you're doing with Narset is you're digging for Underworld Breach,
okay.
so that you can try and combo kill with Breach and Brain Freeze. You're just one LED off.
And I mean, you'd get multiple chances, right? Like if we untap, we'd be able to go Breach, Brain Freeze yourself, Brain Freeze yourself again. And I mean, that's already what, 15 cards that you get to look at it. And yeah, you could even find another, way to generate one mana and then Brain Freeze yourself again for even more. So yeah, I'm with you. Breach looks pretty good here to clean it up.
Yeah, the only thing is that there's no longer red mana after this line Lauri is taken. Because
There's
you're
one
gonna
off
need to
the
get rid
prison,
of
right?
you're gonna need to get rid of the Orcish Bowmasters this turn, which means spending the floating mana spending the mana from the Pentad Prism to cast
yeah.
Leyline Binding.
Yeah, that is brutal. Yeah, because now you can't even wheel. But yeah, look how good that wheel would be if that Bowmaster was on the other side of the battlefield. Everything changed when it came to this phantom. Sorry, what is the 2-drop called again? I forget, but
Phantasmal Image?
Phantasmal Image, excuse me. There, I lost it for a sec. But everything switched when Phantasmal Image came down on that Bowmaster. That was really the turning point of this game for sure.
It makes sense given how much Lauri's deck is meant to leverage the imbalance that Bowmaster creates, that it's pretty susceptible to it. But also, I mean, we saw that thing with the Revealing Eye come up, and I think that just highlights how in this iteration of Cube, particularly with like the way the mid-range threats are being added to Cube these days, most decks just incidentally draw a ton of cards. So
Yeah.
Bowmaster's gonna like get a lot of nickel and diming value. I've heard people talk about Bowmasters as their personal highest pick card behind Fast Mana and the Power 9.
Power, yeah,
and
okay.
yeah, that's entirely reasonable to me because it's just so much incidental value it gets. It's so hard to trade with profitably.
Yeah, makes sense to me. And honestly, it makes sense why both of these decks are just doing so well. they're both these mid-range decks that can go over the top of other mid-range decks. So yeah, this new iteration of Cube definitely does just seem very different. So Eternal Witness off the top. If we had one more land in play, being able to witness, get back, Time Walk would be great. But at the flip side, you do have the ability to witness and get back a Catacombs if you want, but or you just Loran and deal with one of the problematic artifacts or enchantments.
I want to draw a little bit of attention to Lauri's play here, because it's at first blush like a pretty strange looking play, right? He chose to Leyline Binding the Revealing Eye rather than the Orcish Bowmasters, and that can come back from under Loran and doesn't get rid of the Bowmasters that's so problematic for his deck. But I actually really like this play, because what he's saying is like, okay, what this game is about is about finding Underworld Breach. I've put 4 cards to the bottom of my library that are not Underworld Breach. I want to activate Narset again to dig another 4 cards deeper for Underworld Breach, and think that's how I'm gonna win the game. I'm just gonna ignore the Orcish Bowmasters for now. If I deal with it later, great. If that's what the game ends up being about later, great. But right now, I'm just trying to find Underworld Breach and win the game that way.
Yeah, it makes sense to me, and I think that plan is looking pretty good, as there's no way to pressure down Narset. Ryan could, pressure down Narset in the sense that you deal 1 with Bowmaster getting in there if the Orc army gets blocked by Preacher, but then who cares? If Narset goes away, it's not the biggest deal. Or the flip side, you could just block the Preacher to the Bowmaster, let Narset go, and then you're without Narset's ability as well. All that being said, I still put a big advantage to Lauri here, no matter what Ryan does.
Yeah, it is a little awkward, though, that this turn gives him exactly 1 turn to find Breach plus red mana, because if he finds Breach this turn but doesn't find red mana, that Revealing Guy is going to go back to taking whatever's in hand.
Yep.
And then, like, the ping off of the Bowmaster's draw from that could kill Narset as well, so yeah. The only thing is that, like, hitting the Leyline Binding would just lose the ability to deny mana here, and I understand Ryan's impulse to just hit the mana generation, prevent your opponent from casting a bunch of spells in the same turn.
Well, we found Red Source, we didn't find Breach, but we found Balance. That always does disgusting stuff. Let's see what it'll do here. So land 4 comes down, no lands will be lost. Now if we do Balance, there would be Ryan discarding some cards and sacking some creatures.
Yeah,
this is strange, isn't?
So Lauri opting not to play the land to try and get Ryan to sacrifice a land here rather than discard cards. And yeah, I really like Snuff Out on your own Loran here. Your life total doesn't matter in this matchup, so that part seems fine. And this makes Lauri discard a card, which seems pretty good in general when Lauri's deck has that much better resources. Unfortunately, we know about the Echo of Aeons in hand, which actually makes discarding a card kind of an advantage here if you want it to be.
But we're discarding... Oh, this is the cards we save. Yeah. So get rid of the Echo. Ryan has to keep the Bowmaster here, but...
What a bizarre series of plays back and forth. Just snuff out your own Loran for value, only to have it turned against you.
Yes. And I mean, that was the same case with playing Bowmaster for mid-value. I take that back. It killed a Hex Drinker, I forgot. But playing that, and then Bowmaster with copying it ends up being the detrimental play. So this game has been incredibly cool. Oh, there's a Boo, but nothing to cast with it. So now it feels like the forced play of Ewit, get back Catacombs here, right? Doesn't it feel pretty necessary?
Yeah, I think that's almost certainly what I'm going for. You want to be able to cast that Minskin Boo. You want to be able to start just playing more spells from your hand. Flamefoot and Squee would also be good to get down. And you have fairly little time. Like, Lauri put 6 cards to the bottom of his deck that were not Underworld Breach. Eventually he's going to find it and the game's going to be over.
Yep. Otawara is definitely not the draw. Wheel of Fortune can be cast. Wouldn't recommend, as that will be 7 damage that Bowmaster can deal. But, at the flip side, that Oh, I guess we don't have. Oh, we do have red mana. But yeah, the flip side is like you go down to 2, but you do get to draw 7 cards, and your opponent does only draw 1. Is it maybe worth it? Probably not,
So
right?
I would not. I would not Wheel of Fortune here
Yeah.
quite yet. I don't think. But you can just do that next turn because this Otawara can bounce Orcish Bowmasters, which is actually going to kill Orcish Bowmasters because of the. It's going to kill Orcish Bowmasters because it's a Phantasmal Image copy, and then you untap and Wheel of Fortune and probably win the game.
Yeah, okay. So that Otawara actually was a great draw here, but I like it. Lauri should just play this really safe, wait till end step from Ryan and then deal with it. Then you can at least Otawara something if there's a problematic card coming. Minsk and Boo maybe isn't even that big of a problem. Immediately, if your plan is bounce, then wheel. So yeah, everything looking really good from Lauri there. That Otawara is actually amazing.
Yeah, it's unclear what Lauri's path forward to like actually winning the game is here, where Lauri knows what cards are on the bottom of his library, but we don't. Like, if LED is in the bottom 6 cards of his library, like winning next turn is actually winning next turn is pretty tough, but you can get pretty far ahead. But if there's less impactful things at the bottom of his, if there's less impactful things at the bottom of his library, if he draws LED next turn, then we could very much see a sort of immediate win with that and Breach if those are in the top 8-ish cards.
All right, we're going to find out. Let's see what we want to do here. You could also like brainstorm yourself. That's kind of pointless. And then wheel, to use up your mana. Not really something we're going to be seeing. So here's the Surveil from the commercial district. See if we can find something nice from Ryan's side. I don't even know what our best draw would be here from Ryan's deck.
Yeah, I don't think there's much that gets you out of this in terms of like the threats Lauri's representing. I could see like Inquisition or I believe Inquisition's already been cast as Duress. The someone mana discard spell or the other to take the Wheel of Fortune plus Limefoot and Squeeze seems maybe better than Minsk and Boo.
So what about Minsk and Boo here? You get the hamster, you beef it up, you attack with everything at Narset, or maybe even just Ewit plus the hamster, and then Narset falls or Bowmaster gets to live, so the wheel play is not as exciting. So maybe this isn't the worst for Ryan.
Yeah, it's certainly not over for Ryan. I don't love Ryan's chances if Lauri just wheels, like given all other things being equal. Like
even if Ryan gets to draw 7 cards too?
Even if Ryan gets to draw 7 cards too, because
Okay.
I think the Minsk and Boo is pretty likely to die to this Preacher plus tokens, and then there's also like if Lauri hits Underworld Breach plus Lines of Diamond, he just wins.
Okay. So there is the other thought of just sacrificing the hamster to make sure you deal a damage. That doesn't seem to be a solid play. This seems to get Narset dead equally as fast. So you get Boo in there, and now does Otawara want to go towards the Boo or the Bowmaster? It seems like an easy Bowmaster to me, but we'll see what Lauri says.
Yeah, I agree. I think you have to hit the Bowmasters here. You're just kind of out of stuff to do with your hand. You're out of ways to get cards with Narset gone. With Narset being at low enough loyalty that gone minus again rather. So
Yep.
you gotta wheel.
Well, there's the LED, and that hamster didn't go at Narset, so there will not be 7 cards from Ryan.
I think this is pretty close to not deterministically game, but I think it's very, very unlikely that that Lauri doesn't win here.
Because you have the LED and the echoes to do it again, right?
Yeah, you just get
Yeah.
more shots at it.
So you can
So
look
you
at 14
wheel-
cards.
You wheel and crack the LED in response for red mana so that you can actually cast a breach that you find.
Okay. I'm with you as far as that. Now let's see if Lauri agrees. There we go. Red mana. The wheel.
Yeah, we know the
Has
bottom 6
begun.
cards are not breach, so finding breach pretty likely.
And I
yep.
think it was the first card drawn. So Underworld Breach comes down. LED to bring it back. Brains Freeze to mill yourself out and then mill your opponent out. And looks like this is going to be game number 1 to this incredibly powerful combo deck.
Yeah, I mean, just extremely, extremely strong deck on Lauri's spot.
Yeah, holy cow.
Really, really hard to compete unless you're just like chock full of interaction, which Ryan's deck is not.
No, definitely not. So Ryan's going to have to win 2 games in a row up against what looked just to be an incredible deck here. At least every time we've seen it, you know, Lauri's been making some quick work of everyone.
Yeah, I think that was like pretty close to as well as like the early game could go for Ryan. He was pretty well set up to actually like close out, apply enough pressure to Lauri, end the game quickly, but just like a little too slow closing, missed a few too many land drops to actually win.
Yep. Totally agree. So there's Portable Hold, just adds a spell to cast, I imagine. Now just 2 brain freezes. At Ryan, there's no Eldrazi, anything like that. Do we have any Eldrazi in the yard or any of those kind of fantastic cards? Doesn't look like it, does it?
I don't believe so. If you really wanted to make this, fun, Lauri could. Oh wait, no. He has a Narset. Yeah, Lauri has a Narset in place, so it could technically cause a draw here with Wheel of Fortune.
Yeah, wouldn't recommend.
I imagine he'll be taking the win instead, but you know.
Yeah, all Lauri has to do is just say go right now. So this is a classic playing with your food kind of thing, I think. As here's a Bowmaster. Deal with that.
I think just making sure that if he missed something, if Ryan has some way to not die to decking here, just make extra sure.
Yeah, maybe some kind of deal damage in your upkeep. I mean, there's nothing there. Open deck list, so not going to see that. We see Toxic Deluge come out immediately. I wouldn't be shocked if that Snuff Out came out as the, yep, there it goes. And any other big changes from either player?
Not really. I mean, you want to get rid of the dead cards in Ryan's spot for Lauri. There's really not much to be done.
Okay.
We see Fractured Identity coming out, which makes sense given what this matchup is not playing a fair game. You're not going to outgrind Ryan's deck. It's about trying to combo, so you might as well take out the Fractured Identity. Okay. And yeah, for Ryan's deck, there's just not that many cards. You want to take out the Snuff Out. But yeah, I think Toxic Deluge was in the main as well. That's pretty dead here. You want to have that out. And yeah, it's just beyond that. Kind of just same game plan as game 1. Hope you get to do the same thing without missing your land drops like you did. And yeah, I think that's the main way Ryan makes it out of this matchup alive.
All right, and one of these players, remember, will be heading straight to the grand finals, and then we'll play 3 rounds of Modern, you know, with your shoulders down, to say the least. Yeah, you're playing for some high stakes, you know, some high amount of money, but you've already accomplished the goal. I think any of these players would snap off a second place. You know, even if you go 3-0, 0-3, that's still good enough in this structure of the tournament. That is very, very strong. So, you know, but after this, we will be having some Modern action, and there are some absolutely spicy decks we're going to be seeing. Real spice, y'all. So make sure to stay glued to the screen here, as we'll have constructed after this. But of course, huge matches are limited first.
Some elaborate mana-based science from Ryan, making sure that he can cast a spell to sideboard it in, because like the way he's changing his deck by mod just fundamentally changes what colors of mana you want early. Like Third Iconoclast is a card you want to be able to cast early, and the deck is not configured to cast blue-red spells early in its base form. But yeah, I mean, props to Ryan for like managing this mana base so well. Like, yes, there's going to be issues because just like the level of requirements you have, like we saw in last game that Slimefoot and Squee was stranded in hand. Yeah. But to be able to build this mana base at all, I mean, I couldn't do it.
Whenever, I just picture Ryan's, you know, face in the bottom left-hand corner. Like, you know, you put the meme fire like stuff that this is fine. Like him looking at his mana base with just the on fire room, be like, yep, this is fine, no big deal.
Well, I don't even think his mana's that bad. Like he's gonna struggle to
It's
cast some of
not
his
great.
spells. The issues are like with the spells more so than the lands. It's like a lot of fixing, but just like the demands of his spells are just too high. But
Yeah.
like I would just not be able to manage a mana base like that at all. Like I wouldn't be able to make it work the way he has. Whenever I
Yeah.
was like when I was playing professionally in the outside world, whenever I had to build a mana base for a deck, I would just ping Autumn and ask her to build a mana base for me. So
Same thing for me. I was always really bad at mana bases, so I'd call up Brad and be like, "Does this look reasonable?" He's like, "Absolutely not. Get that out of here." So yeah, hey, sometimes you gotta tag in the ringers. That's for sure. All right, Zagoth Triumph coming down after that swamp. We picked up a Vampiric Tutor, so Ryan's able to search for anything. Wouldn't be too shocked if it's just a land, like that's something you very much need help with in Ryan's deck. And the flip side, no more Underworld Breach this game. Not sure if Lauri has any way to actually bring it back, but if not, that will stop that combo angle of this match for sure.
Echo of Aeons and Time Spiral both shuffle Underworld Breach back in, so
Okay,
should be
perfect,
fine on
perfect.
that axis, probably.
So maybe not even a card you really want to take, huh? I mean, it is just one of the most powerful cards ever printed, so hard to, not want to just get that one out of there, but
Yeah, I mean, there's too much chance for Lauri's deck to just random into killing you to, I think, risk leaving Lauri with Breach.
okay.
But yeah, it's certainly not the end of the game or combo potential.
Well, this looks really brutal. We did pick up a Traxa and we have, the way to bring it back, but we need to get it into the yard. So what do we tutor for to be able to have the end goal of an Atraxa in our yard?
I'm not sure what discard spells Ryan has in his deck as an additional issue where like his mana is a problem. And this is a matchup where we see that mana really start to cause Ryan's deck to suffer. Well, a lot of more mid-rangey matchups, it's fine if you cast your spells later. It's fine if you take your time about it. This is not one of those matchups. If you stumble in this matchup like we saw last game, you need to apply pressure quickly. Otherwise, eventually you are going to get comboed.
Yep, absolutely. So found a great land there, able to find a red source, able to at least continue to play Magic here from Ryan. Oh, excuse me. The one nice thing that we have going on from Ryan's side is this Stern Scolding can really counter a large chunk of creatures and can counter either one of these that Lauri wants to play.
Yeah, it's probably just gonna hit the Preacher here, I imagine.
I would think so. I mean, I think it was going to hit just whatever one gets cast first, as it seems like you wanna be doing that.
Not sure whether there's one mana discard outlets in Ryan's deck. If there are, I could see just waiting on this because at that point the Preacher doesn't matter. You just vamp tutor for a discard outlet, go discard outlet, like Death Back Atraxa, and then like have Stern Scolding up off of a land you find of Atraxa or something. But as it stands, yeah, I really like the way Ryan has respected the threat of like that combo with Bowmasters and Wheel of Fortune or Time Spiral there, recognizing that okay, I just can't leave myself dead to that. But yeah, somebody just gotta spend the Stern Scolding or you'll fall too far behind.
Yep, I love that too. So we'll see now if Lauri wants to play this proactively, get this Bowmaster out there. Makes sense to not, and it looks like we're gonna get Sedgemoor Witch down and just get something on the battlefield, something to do. Change your mind, maybe go for Slimefoot and Squee.
Yeah, not at its most powerful here. Just 3 mana, 3/3, enters attack, make a 1/1. But I mean, it's yet another way to eventually reanimate that Atraxa if it ever gets to Ryan's graveyard. The fact that the Vampire Cuda hasn't gotten spent yet makes me suspect that there maybe isn't an efficient way to discard a card in Ryan's deck.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah, I'm kind of looking now. I don't see anything. Vampiric Tutor can just go get Time Walk. I feel like that's what it does most of the time. But when you're not ahead on the battlefield, it's just a explore, basically.
Yeah, it's we saw a lot of we saw the reanimation bot of Ryan's deck look really strong last round, but I'm realizing just how much it helped him to have an opponent's FOMO to copy with Phantasmal Image.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. Yeah, that's the main reason. This Phantasmal Image, if Ryan does end up winning these next two games, needs to frame this card, and hang it up in his office or whatever. All right, another brick off the top there from Lauri. Just two removal spells. Like, sure, that's great. One deals with the witch. You might want to do it right now, but nothing too great going on up top there. Any of the wheels, though, just are basically game enders.
Well, I kind of wonder whether Ryan almost, in Ryan's what I almost consider vampiric tutoring for Phantasmal Image there.
I mean, why
just
not?
Just a way to get that Bowmasters off the table.
It's the best card in Ryan's deck, clearly, with how amazing we've seen it be so far. But yeah, doesn't want to. And now let's see what the follow-up is.
The discipline makes sense to me. You probably want to use it to actually kill with Time Walk at some point.
So here's the witch getting in there, and we're just getting to the battlefield here. Slimefoot and Squee comes on down, enters or attacks, get a sapling, so you get one right now.
I wonder how close Ryan is to having lethal here.
Okay, I mean, there's Mind Twist. That is, of course, a great draw. Now, is there a black source for this Flooded Strand to be able to put a good card on top? I think that's the big decider of this game. So, yeah, what? Blue, white. Let's see. Nope, I can get a Savannah. No, there's not.
Yeah, I don't think there's an untapped one, at least.
Yeah, you can get, the Zagoth Triumph, but that's already in play. And honestly, that's it.
Yeah,
so yeah, cards are gone.
Spot. You can't even get a commercial district here to scry for to surveil for Ryan.
Nope.
It doesn't notice. Yeah, that's pretty tough. It's. Oh wait, hold on. Actually, hold on. No, this is really good for Ryan.
Okay.
Or at least forces a Leyline Binding because Slimefoot and Squeak can reanimate Atraxa.
Oh, there's extra text on that card, yes. So, I mean, you have to do it now if you're Lauri, right? Like, you have to get rid of it. Maybe he doesn't see it. Oh my goodness, he doesn't see it.
It's not surprising to me that, players are not super familiar with the exact text on Slimefoot and Squeak.
Yeah, that is... I kind of stopped reading after the sapling anyways, so I'm with y'all who didn't see it.
Yeah, for those of y'all following along in chat not familiar with the card, it has 4 mana, sacrifice Slimefoot and Squee and another Sapperling, and you can return target creature from your graveyard to the battlefield. Activate only as a sorcery, though, so if the Leyline Binding gets cast here, then, well, the Slimefoot and Squee is gone, and there's no Atraxa coming back.
So was this a big mistake
has a
by
challenge
Ryan?
to rectify his mistake. Well, in Ryan's spot, you just assume Lauri doesn't have a Leyline Binding, right? Because if he has a Leyline Binding, he's supposed to spend it on his own turn. That's the correct play to avoid the Atraxa. But Lauri, initially missed that line, presumably caught it now, realizes, oh, actually, wait, I can't let this activate. I have to spend it now. And Ryan gets somewhat got by that as a result.
Goodness, yeah, because this could just have been just an Atraxa on the battlefield, no questions asked, but instead, Ryan's going to just have to say go. That swamp is not working out with Omnath here at all. And looks like Bowmaster is just going to trade with this Sedgemoor Witch. And hey, this is an early trade, to be honest, with so much life. Like, now you know Lauri's top decking a wheel, for sure. All right, never mind.
Okay, we'll have no more of your lies here, Corey.
Yeah, exactly. All right, sorry, Magic Gods. You really put me in my place there. So here's Sapling getting in there, and then this card's going straight to exile, along with No More Lies going to the yard.
Yeah, and that mana base again. I mean, you've got the ability to get good sources. Like Ryan's deck is pretty well structured to be able to actually cast the spells, but yeah, the extremely pip intensive casts on a bunch of cards really hurting here. Where Omnath uncastable while you have a swamp in play.
Speaking of tough to cast and, demanding cards, a Lion Sash with your one white source here. A little awkward as well, but man, I love it. I love it. So we get to cast it. One thing we got to look at too is Ryan is down to 6 minutes and has to win 2 games here. So plenty of work to be done. There's a brain freeze off the top. Not ideal yet.
And not the strongest card independently.
No.
Oh wait, hold on. I think we're gonna see Lauri brain freeze himself to mill 9 cards
to look for an echo. Oh yes, okay. I'm here for that. That looks good to me. Is there any other graveyard stuff that Lauri has?
I don't think so. With the breach already in the graveyard.
Yeah, looking to be just that card, but didn't go for the line and a time walk off the top. Doesn't look great here, but hey, you probably cast it, right?
Yeah, I mean, it cantrips. It's
Yep.
it's 0 mana, deal 1 damage to an opponent, really.
Yes. And a swamp right off the top.
That's brutal.
Oh my goodness. This is one of the games of all time, that's for sure. All right. Looks like we're going to play the swamp. Might as well when you're playing against the triple wheel deck. Another brick from Lauri, though. Wow, this is one of the games. Okay, Unearth. What does that hit? It hits the Witch, or it cycles, or Hexdrinker.
Yeah.
Hexdrinker might be better, huh?
Yeah, Hexdrinker might be good here. The Loran is exiled. The Slimefoot and Squee is actually under the Leyline Binding. So the things you want to get back most, you can't.
So, Hexdrinker, you can level up to protection from instants right away, right?
Yes.
And then win the game with it next turn, basically? Not quite.
Not really, because it takes 2 turns to kill, and protection from everything doesn't really matter if you get your library milled.
Yeah,
I have to
fair.
imagine in this spot, Lauri milled 6 cards to dig for Echo. You just need to find something now.
Yeah, now Lauri is going to flip over all the 6 busted non-wheel cards, right? Yep, that looks to be the case. Now we'll see. Okay, there is a Wheel of Fortune. Got to do it, right?
Yeah, you have to do it. It's going to be hard to win here.
Yes.
So many of the good cards are in Lauri's graveyard.
And we start over. Now everyone's got a full grip. Minsk and Boo can come down from Ryan, so that maybe can represent lethal. Looks like it might be 9. 4, 5. No, it can get up. Oh, it's 8 for the protection. Yeah, okay, so yeah, it's not quite lethal from Ryan. Let's see, we got a Mystical Tutor. Try to find some, but relatively bad hit there from Lauri as well.
Yeah, Lauri's hand does very little here. You can Mystical Tutor for something, and then...
I can play Shieldred.
Okay, so... Yeah,
Or you can
Balance
cycle.
is probably what got mysticaled for here.
No, it's in the yard.
Oh, yeah. I think there was maybe a line there where you Trinket Mage for Lion's Eye Diamond. Oh, this just a 1 mana off of going Trinket Mage for Lion's Eye Diamond.
That one's in the yard too.
Data Triumph. Oh, that's in the graveyard too. Right, never mind. Every single thing that matters. All Lauri's ways of comboing are gone. You need to. So I assume there's Echo of Aeons that got mysticaled for here. But
yeah.
It's not clear to me that there's going to be time for that to come down.
But we didn't play anything too, so you gotta believe that the cycle the Triumph, play whatever is put on top would make sense. Otherwise, jam Shieldred or something, right?
Yeah, I think I imagine what's happening is Lauri doesn't want to play Shieldred into sorcery speed removal, which I like.
Okay.
And that is leaving up the ability to maybe wait, hold on. I think this was lethal, right?
Isn't it 1 short?
So you attack with the team, hit Lauri to 6, -2 Minsk and Boo, and I think it can just fling anything. It only draws cards if it's a hamster.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure. It got reprieved anyways, so it doesn't matter for that.
Oh,
but
that was what was cycled for.
Yep.
Okay, that makes sense. It's
okay,
a little hard to see off screen.
Here's the attack, and now looks like Lauri has 1 turn. I don't know if those cards scream to me that I'm surviving against a Boo or a Protection from Everything card.
Yeah, it's not entirely sure what the outs are here.
Okay, so now the one thing that Ryan can do is pay 3 mana, level up to everything, and then Minsk and Boo throw the Boo upstairs for 7 total damage, and it will play around any of this, right? Like, I think this is just game, and Ryan's gonna take down game 2. Sick.
Yeah, I mean, really well piloted by Ryan, recognizing, playing this out, just navigating it really well.
Wow.
Yeah. Wait, hold on. Okay, I suppose it's lethal anyway, but I was surprised to see Chain of Smog bought it in from Ryan.
Yeah, do we have the other combo piece? Doesn't
Is
it
it
combo
with the
with
Blue
that
Apprentice in the
2-drop?
deck that I missed?
Maybe it was in the board, but I thought we saw it earlier from someone else, but no, I don't see it. It's just in there. And oh my goodness, Ryan was able to pull out that game. That game went through some of the weirdest phases where both players' decks did nothing for like 4 turns. And then the wheel gave Lauri some horrific draws. And then Ryan was able to eke it out there at the very end. That was a wild game.
Yeah, definitely a roller coaster. I mean, all of these games have been roller coasters just because there's so many haymakers going back and forth. Chain of Smog, I assume, presumably mostly in because if you have some sort of threat down, trading resources with your opponent seems really, really good. Like, if you make both of you so the risk with Chain of Smog is 2 mana target player discards too, sort of.
Yeah.
And the thing with it is that you can theoretically, like, you can make both players discard their hands, basically.
Okay.
The players can kind of like ping pong it back and forth, which is theoretically something of a risk to the card. But if you have some sort of threat down, like just removing resources from the game is really, really positive for Ryan.
Yeah.
Like Lauri's deck is very much a critical mass deck. You need to counter a certain number of resources to be able to win. So yeah, makes a lot of sense to me that you'd want Chain of Smog in here, despite it not being perhaps the most functional card independently.
Fair enough. All right, big game 3. Now, Ryan does have a low clock here. Ryan's hand looks absolutely abysmal. And up top, I mean, there's some good stuff going on when you have LED, when you have balance and stuff like that. So, oh my, we're in for it. Shelldock Isle to hide away to find some goodies.
Yeah, I mean, Shelldock Isle basically just always casting a spell here, given how many extra cards Lauri's deck draws.
So, do you do any aggressive wheeling or balancing here? Well, that's going to change the equation a bit.
I think it is correct to not make the play where you balance and make both players sacrifice down to 1 land. And
yeah, because you can discard your hand with LED, right?
in response.
Oh my goodness! So
I will accept that there's good sportsmanship from Lauri, where we could see players like trying to use the fact that the opponent's low on clock and like use that to try and force the game to last another 15 turns by making both players sacrifice all their lands and discard all their cards. But I appreciate that Lauri's being a good spot about it.
I think that would have been a good play. Like, forget being a good sport. I don't even know if that constitutes being a good sport. I think that's just a good play with the things that could happen. Yeah, you just start the game over, and looks like now we're going for that play. Yeah. No cards, no lands.
At this point, it's definitely the correct play for Lauri, right?
Yeah.
On turn 2, it's almost certainly like objectively wrong if we're not looking at the clocks, where it's really, really bad for him to be stuck on 1 land. But once he has 3 lands and can slam his haymakers, and opponent has a threat in hand, his hand is all lands, so he knows his hand is worse than his opponent's. It makes perfect sense to make that play.
All right, so there's the reprieve, and oh my goodness, there's the 4th land, plus Jace the Mind Sculptor. Now we have a Johnny to get down and get some threats, plus this Vamp Tutor to be able to go find whatever card Ryan wants. Let's see, this Jace, what's it going to be?
Johnny's Vampiric Tutor's got to find Recurring Nightmare here, right? Oh. That's so strong. You get to attack the Jace down, kill it, Well, I guess attack the Jace for 3. Vampire play Recurring Nightmare. Recurring Nightmare gets back Omnath. Omnath draws you a card. Flips Ajani. Ajani zeros. Omnath's a red permanent, so gets to kill the Jace.
Oh,
and, it's
my!
just like the game's over, right? Ryan
Yes.
can't lose from that.
Oh my goodness, let's see if Ryan sees that play, but it seems pretty obvious as well. So Vamp tutor for Recurring Nightmare. We're gonna see 3 at the cat like you said. Let's see if Ryan goes for it. That is a sick line. Omnath is gonna come into play when there is only a plains, a swamp, and an isle. Okay, so this is death. Does that change anything?
I think I believe it puts Omnath into play the more old-fashioned way, but that'll probably also do here.
Wait, why? But that does seem much worse, isn't it?
Yeah, I think maybe the Recurring Nightmare was missed as a target, or maybe it got sideboarded out as like a slower card.
Vampiric Tutor can get that, right? Yeah, it's any card. Yeah, who knows? Maybe we sided it out. Oh my god. Okay, this is wild. So, Mind Twist is horrible. Pented Prison. All those cards are relatively medium here.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised to not see Lauri go for Bounce Omnath, Mind Twisted away.
Yeah. But honestly, then you leave yourself with nothing. You know, like, I get not going for that as well, but now both of these Planeswalkers are going to fall unless this Narset finds a playable thing. That was not a playable thing.
Okay, so what Lauri's doing here is he's setting himself up to wheel and try and find something to win the game.
Okay, here's an Unearth. You have the Sedgemoor Witch, I guess. Yeah, so we're going to get on in there, probably killing all the walkers and having Lauri take 1 here. 1 is also the amount of minutes Ryan has left on his clock. Here's the Witch.
Oh, wait, that's the combo. You Chain of Smog plus Sedgemoor Witch to make infinite 1/1s. That's the combo that's in Lauri's, in Ryan's deck.
Of course, you have 2 combos like that.
Infinite 1/1's not particularly better than like any other number of 1/1s here, but
yeah. Okay, Fractured Identity on Omnath. Omnath is gone. Omnath comes down. Now that Oust, I believe, can just clean it up, right? And it's a token, so it's just a removal spell here. And then the Chain of Smog.
And then the Chain of Smog makes infinite 1/1s, and I think that should be game.
But infinite in the sense of infinite with enough clock, right? Like how?
I mean, it's a pretty quick combo, so it's just 1 turn. Lauri does have a turn to top deck a wheel to get out of this. But...
Okay. Oh my goodness. I'm on the edge of my seat, just like all of you here.
What a match! So much back and forth.
Chain of Smog is just getting as many tokens as possible with the time allowing. 50 seconds here from Ryan. Here comes all the pests. That should be enough. How do you stop it? Can you get yourself out of it? You just say no or something,
yeah, you
right?
can target your opponent.
Okay, so I think we got to stop here pretty soon, Ryan.
Well, we need to make sure there's enough to definitely be lethal through like a Shieldred or something.
True, because we are attacking for 6. So here's 6 damage. If this is a brick, this is going to be over in favor of Ryan Waligora. Oh my god, this is going to be it. Minskin blew off the top. It doesn't matter. And an improbable win. Ryan Waligora is going to come back from being a game down against what seemed like the more superior cube deck here from Lauri. And Ryan's going to take it down and head to the World Championship. Arya, I am blown away. That was sick. That was
massively piloted, extremely well built. Like, just again, I cannot stress enough how like difficult it is to recognize that the best shot in like an event like this is a deck with such a high ceiling that, like, you know, sure, the mana base, we saw Ryan struggle with it over and over and over. The mana was pretty tough, but the ceiling of the deck really high, the power level of the cards really high. It had these high rolls that were possible and really paid off. Just extremely well done by Ryan. masterful performance.
I can't wait for Ryan to go back and watch this and just see like, all right, end the deck with maybe the lowest grade that we're going to give it. And it's Ryan's deck. And probably just Ryan looks at the screen and just laughs out loud, as you should. Congratulations, buddy. You're heading to the World Championship and you're going to have a ton of money in your pocket. Enough about hearing from us. We got an interview with the winner here with Anurag Das. Let's hear it.
And what a nail biter of a cube finale we just had here. Welcome to the interview area, everyone. My name is Anu, and I'm joined by Ryan Waligora, our vintage cube pod champion. Went 3-0 with one of the craziest drafts I've ever seen. But first, before we get there, Ryan, how are you feeling?
Thanks, Anu. That means a lot. I'm still shaking a bit, and like, queuing for Worlds is like, third or fourth on the list of reasons. It's mostly just from the red clock, adrenaline. So, plenty of practice. Trying not to time out on Moto, helping me out there, I guess. But it's extremely hype.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel the most alive when I'm in the red zone too, if you know what I mean. But let's take a second here to talk about your draft, because it's not a 3-color deck. It's not a 4-color deck. It's the whole 5 colors, which is honestly quite amazing that you were able to get it to work. Ryan, how did you land up on this deck?
Yeah, so notably we've got Sheldock Isle and Basic Plains alongside Powerhouse, Slimefoot, and Squee here. I started the draft off with no power in the pack, but some interesting cards. Like, there were definitely good cards in pack 1, pick 1. It was like Manaleek, Dak, Luris, and Atroxa. And so, it's funny. I'd been talking to somebody last night about how, like, I really love the Doomsday decks, and I still think, I love Luris. Like, it's so much fun to draft, but quite powerful as well. I mean, companions are Luris is the most powerful card ever printed, probably. So, pre-errata. But anyway, so I ended up taking Atroxa over the Luris, and then I thought I kind of train wrecked my draft by doing so. I felt bad about doing so, and then pack 1, pick 2, there's immediately a Doomsday, and I realized, oh my goodness, I could have had a nice Luris Doomsday deck. I end up seeing a lot of like very cheap interaction in Esper colors. So there's Stern Scolding and Duress and Inquisition, and I really like the cheap interaction, especially when in Vintage Cube a good strategy is to kind of take fixing and then only take kind of the creme de la creme, like the best cards that you see, and then other than that, just sort of stay open so that you can take good cards, and kind of applicable to any draft format, I suppose. But there are also some cards in this cube that I don't want to comment on the design of the cube too much, but Slimefoot and Squee, it's like, it's maybe it takes a little work, maybe not the most powerful card. But then so I ended up taking a bunch of that interaction. I took a bunch of fetches. I ended up with 3. But then the more powerful cards, I didn't see that many. So no power in pack 2 as well. And then pack 3, I opened Time Walk, MOCS. So I was blue. It wasn't a big decision. I took the Time Walk. Ended up being pretty good for me against Slacks. I think I got to Ewit it back after putting Atroxa in play and like grabbing the Ewit, and Time Walk was in the yard. But I would rate this deck as like I don't know, a 2 out of 10, maybe 3 out of 10, just sort of at a glance. Looking a little more closely, I'm happy with how many good cards I do have. Like, Snuff Out is a strong card. Minsc and Boo is absurd. I'm the Atroxa is still great. It's maybe not the most consistent recurring Nightmare deck. Ajani is incredibly broken, and I took it like I want to say it was like pick 6 or something. It was a very late Ajani. I saw a lot of white cards going around, but didn't really shift out of staying open as much as I could. And I hopefully that gives like a picture of some of my thoughts. It ended up playing out well. And for example, like I think Fimage is a really, really good card, and it was insane for me. If you look at match 1, it's kind of basically won the match on its own. So at first glance, it's maybe not a highly powerful card, but it's definitely something that I take pretty highly. And so I was able to leverage the good cards in the deck, but definitely a quirky one. And the funny thing is, in the finals, Leyline Binding is a good example where if you're this 5-color, I just take the best of the best. and otherwise, focus on fixing. Leyline Binding is like the perfect card. It's just cheap, remove anything. And then my opponent in the finals, Lauri, had it in this extremely like clean, ruthless Grixis Wheels deck. So yeah, going up against that was fun, but it all coming down to the wire. Both like I just balance. We both have nothing. Let's game. I mean, that's that's what Vintage Cube is about. That's also what like the Vintage constructed format is about a lot of the time, where it's this 1 for 1, and then we have nothing, and we're just have 2 lands and no cards and see what happens. So the deck being random and that sort of variance in Magic leads to just extremely exciting situations that you can't predict, right? Like this isn't chess, and that means that Lauri is going to have Bowmaster and Shieldred and 4 different wheels, and that's annoying to have to overcome that. But the fact that sometimes you get there with prediction, combinations of cards that you can't really predict in advance is just it makes it a really special game. So definitely a special win, but the way I won was exhilarating. So I'm still that's why I'm rambling. It's the nervous energy. So
well, you say it's a 2 or 3 out of 10, but you 3-0'd the pod, and now you've earned yourself a ticket to the World Championship. You've got 3 rounds of Modern ahead of you, Ryan. Best of luck.
Thank you so much, Anu.
Oh my God, that was so funny. I gotta go back to a couple of things that were said. First, first of all, Ryan's hilarious. That can be very, very apparent. But the fact that we have the Shelldock Isle, plain, slime, foot, and squee deck had me absolutely dying. That was hilarious. And it sounded like, Arya, you gave Ryan's deck far too many points here. Should have been a 2 out of 10, not the 4.5 or a 5 out of 10, huh?
I mean, I stand vindicated, I feel. Yeah. If anything, my rating was too low based on the results. And I mean,
it was a 10 out of 10.
Talked about it, right? It's exactly that strategy. Recognize you have these powerful cards, this high ceiling. That's really what you want your deck to be about. And it worked. I mean, he knew what the format was about, and it really, really worked out to him. So massively built, massively piloted, just like a masterclass. I mean, massively maneuvered in 4 minutes of time in that last game with a balance where, it really shows he has the most games played of any of our competitors, and really showing that with being able to finish out that game in time, not even that much of a sweat, not even in single digits on the clock, just knowing how to get things done in time, played really well, built really well, just masterclass.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's so fitting to have Anurag Das doing the interview here when he lives in the red zone. I feel like he starts his match in the red zone. So really awesome stuff from Ryan. Big congratulations. It was awesome to hear him explain his thought process. Seems like a very smart person, and that person is heading straight to the World Championship. But Arya, that's going to do it for you and I here, because that is the end of the Vintage Cube draft. Any final thoughts before we let you go?
Well, I mean, what a draft to watch. I mean, I've covered several MOCSs at this point, and I always love covering the Vintage Cube draft, but, this might have been the best one yet. Just
my favorite.
Fantastic decks across the table, power level through the roof, lots of back and forth in the games, and what a final. So really glad I got to do this with you.
Absolutely. Always amazing to work with you, Arya. You're incredibly knowledgeable when it comes to Magic. You do great work over at Wizards of the Coast. So I think I can speak for all of us. We really appreciate everything you do for the game of Magic the Gathering. So thank you. But we are going to head to a break. But before that, we got our sponsors here. A little bit of our, kind of our things that we have going on here. Starting off with our stream schedule. You're watching the MOCS here. The Creator Showdown was yesterday, so if you want to go back and watch that, you obviously can. Oblivion Sorrow, every Tuesday and Thursday. This is kind of our educational channel, as well as news, so if you want to check that out, she is very entertaining. Then we have Meet MTG and Young Dingo, who both kind of play those metagame decks here on Wednesday and Friday. So head on over to their individual channels or twitch.tv/magiconline. They're always sharing that as well. And let's take a look at what else we got going on here in the Magic Online world. And this is some exciting stuff. You get 4 packs to draft with. I thought it was kind of a visual bug here or something that, you know, every draft you feel like you get 3. You get 4 with 15 cards per pack. You get a command tower for each player just to start it off. I love that. 4-player draft pods and 4-player games. Ton of partner combinations. The preview league, of course, is May 19th through the 20th. You can learn more about this really awesome draft on mtgo.com on May 15th. And of course, just drafting a commander and kind of, you know, taking some of the most popular ways to play Magic, both Cube and Commander, and jamming them together is a really, really exciting thing. So with that, we are going to take ourselves a short break, but on the other side, we're going to get the other half of this tournament. We're going to be heading to Modern. So don't go anywhere, everyone. We'll be right back with the Magic Online Champion Showcase.